Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 Facebook and YouTube Live. That is Love 101 FM, Facebook and YouTube Live in the first watch today. Understanding one's rights under Jamaica's Charter of Rights and Fundamental Freedoms. In the second watch, abuse of the elderly. International World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, that being yesterday, June the 15th. For our social media question, we ask, what is the greatest thing you would do for an elderly person today? Share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp. 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your response later on the program. But first, here's our quote.
All right, I code. Life is like riding a bicycle. Keep your balance. You must keep moving. Albert Einstein. Good morning, Sir Stokeley.
Morning, Rushane. To keep your balance, you will keep moving, yes?
That's right. You have to keep moving. That's what we're doing.
Indeed. Now, Mr. Douglas, I think tomorrow is your special day. Am I right, sir?
Yes, I believe so, but we don't want to take up for too much time. There's never enough time in the morning watch. Let's talk about that next week.
The first watch. We'll be back after this break.
Not a problem.
Trying to plan a family getaway? Fix it. Always dreamed of taking a cruise? Fix it. Kitchen needs upgrading? Fix it. Fixing your financial future is easy with a Sagicor Bank Extended Term Certificate of Deposit account. Open your account today. Save for 18, 24, 30 months or up to 3 years and get guaranteed interest paid monthly or at maturity. Fix your financial future with a Sagicor Bank Extended Term Certificate of Deposit account. Sagicor Bank, in your corner, supporting you. Conditions apply.
Attention all grade 11 high school students and parents. The Ministry of Education has paid for you to sit the City and Guilds Math and English exam on Thursday, June 30. Check with your school to see if you're registered for these exams. Don't miss the chance of a lifetime to be qualified with a certificate recognized by employers and universities worldwide. The exam consists of one paper, no SBA, no stress. A perfect alternative to the other exam. Call City and Guilds at 924-7808 or 924-7804. City and Guilds, the passport to your future.
Sometimes all we need is a listening ear. The listening ear, the counseling, the logical reasoning, and spiritual guidance are what appeal to us. That's why I'm here. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, the counselor, your counselor on Love 101 FM, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. You know you can call on me. I will listen and more. So let's talk about what's bothering you. Anything. Tune in, listen, call in, text or voice message. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, counseling psychologist, ready with a listening ear. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. Right here on the family station, Love 101 FM.
Importers. Shipments requiring you to pay customs duties and taxes are cleared on a customs goods declaration, known as an IM4 or IMS4. Ask your clearing agent to provide your customs declaration, customs assessment notice, and customs receipt once duties and taxes are paid. Where your clearing agent may not be able to provide the IM4 or IMS4, request your customs goods declaration registration number or C number, which can be used to verify your payments. Importers, request your IM4, IMS4, or C number. It is your right. For details, email the Jamaica Customs Agency at public.relations@jca.gov.jm. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Can children who are raised within marriages do better on average? Can traits of a married couple impact their children and the generation to come? Oh yes, they can. And this Thursday, June 16 at 5:30 p.m. inside the Truly Marvelous program, we are going to be reminded of those impacts. So join host Colleen Beckles and co-host Andre Allen Casey for a rebroadcast of Being the Influence as a Married Couple to Your Child or Children. That to Heaven to Hold rebroadcast feature this Thursday, June 16, with co-host Andre Allen Casey, and it happens right here on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the morning one. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Now, this is something that many citizens may not be aware of, or they may have some knowledge but are not fully cognizant of, not completely aware of. And that is understanding one's rights under Jamaica's Charter of Rights and Fundamental Freedoms. To address these and other related issues, we have online today Basil Hanson, Christian activist and founder of MTM TV, and Bert Samuels, attorney at law. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, my brother.
Morning, Stokeley. Good morning.
Great having you on. Now, starting with you, Counsel Bert Samuels, explain, I don't want to say in simple terms, but briefly explain what is Jamaica's Charter of Rights and Fundamental Freedoms?
Yeah.
What does it mean for the typical person here in Jamaica?
Right. So we have a constitution which is 60 years old, but 11 years ago, the Charter of Rights, in 2011, the Charter of Rights replaced the Chapter 3, which was our fundamental rights and freedoms that we had enjoyed for nearly 50 years. And the Parliament felt that we should update them, upgrade them, and we got some new rights and some strengthened rights. So, for example, there are 3 rights that we, or 4 that I could speak of. One was the right to vote. The other was the right to enjoy a healthy environment, so you can't have a city dump that's poisoning us. Another one was the right of the child, and the other was the right of children to primary education. But the more fundamental right was our freedom and liberty. And the Constitution before the Charter of Rights in 2011 and since the Charter of Rights has a concept called the presumption of innocence. So when the police arrests a Jamaican citizen, though he's arrested on allegations, he remains with the presumption that he's innocent until the prosecution proves the case against him. Now, many Jamaicans feel that once a person is charged, if it's their relatives or friends, they are guilty, and therefore they should not get any bail. So the man is charged for murder, so he should not get any bail. The woman is charged for stabbing an abusive boyfriend, and she should not enjoy bail. And there's another situation now in the Charter of Rights, which for the first time, it created the right to bail. It created the right that a person is entitled to bail. And what that means is that when you come before a court, you are entitled to bail unless the prosecution can show that the allegations are so strong, or mainly that you are a flight risk. You're not going to come to court for your trial, and then you will be denied the liberty of right to trial. So the fundamental rights are those that we have fought hard for. Bogle was not tried by his peers. So there are so many fundamental rights, which, over the time, Sam Sharp was tried for trying to overthrow an unjust state, a state that believes in slavery. And we've come a long way to now have a Charter of Rights where Jamaicans can walk freely with the knowledge that there is a presumption of innocence. This does not mean that you don't go on trial and can't be found guilty. But I would say that's a little summary of the fundamental rights.
And I'm not digressing, but you did say Bogle was not tried by his peers. Are you suggesting that you are fully in favor of retaining jury trials in all the cases for which jury trials are now being used for?
Yes, I'm totally for jury trials, trial by our peers. It is my view that when the Constitution gave the right to vote and the right to be placed on a voters list, which is fundamental, you don't have to participate in elections, but you have a right to be elected, to be registered as a voter. Because the jury list comes from the voters list, that is a way of the Constitution signaling to Jamaica and Jamaicans that you have a right to be on that list from which you can serve as a juror. And I see it as a very important, in fact, the word fundamental means essential. I think it's essential to justice that we be tried by our peers.
I see. Now, I do note that there is a savings clause in the Constitution, but before I ask you anything about that, Mr. Samuels, I want to bring in Mr. Hans to see if he has any opening comments as well before we head to our break. Mr. Hansen, before we head to our break. Mr. Hansen, do you have any comments at this time?
Thank you, Stokeley, for having me. Interesting that we are hearing about rights this morning, because just yesterday I was listening to the news and I heard our Prime Minister mentioning about crime and, the state of what is happening with crime in our country and all that. And, they can't do anything or they can't do much, because as soon as they want to do stuff, there comes the right people talking about their rights and all of that. And so I'm wondering, what if we never had a constitution? What would this world, what would Jamaica look like? So I'm grateful for the constitution because it puts things into perspective, and those who would want to undermine and abuse our constitution, they can't just do it willy-nilly. So I am very grateful for the constitution. I believe there are a number of persons who, don't like some aspect of the Constitution. In fact, I don't think anybody likes all aspects of the Constitution. There are aspects that some of us like, and there are aspects that some of us don't like. But that's life. There's not one person that will like everything in life. There are things that you like, and there are things that you learn from. So I believe there are and to undermine the Constitution of Jamaica, and they want to do it through the court. There are those who have found justices that will not just interpret the law, but actually will make the law. And so we have seen that over the years where, even in Trinidad recently, the appeal court, the Privy Council, ruled that the death penalty in Trinidad, even though some people don't want the death penalty and all of that, but they rule that the Constitution has a savings clause that saves the death penalty. So it is legal. The only way that can change, and I'm happy for that, you can't just change laws that are saved by savings willy-nilly. It has to go back to the Parliament, and I guess 2/3 also have to, ratify it and all of that. So I'm grateful, Stokeley, for the Constitution. It is our guide, it is our map, and it is very, very valuable. And we should not allow anybody to trample on it and to undermine it or to take away our rights. Our rights you can't. In order to solve a problem, you create another set of problems. So in order to solve crime, you have to take away people's rights. No, we should not allow it.
We definitely get the point, Mr. Hansen, but we are upon a break only because of time. Gentlemen, please stay with us. Listeners, we'll be right back. We're taking a break now on the Morning Watch.
Say thanks to Dad with a gift of unlimited from Flow. Enjoy great smartphone deals when you switch now, like a ZTE A31 for just $5,000 or a TCL 20E for just $16,900 GCT included. And both phones are loaded with 7 days of unlimited talk, YouTube, social, and data for TikTok. Plus, you get a free sunglasses. Switch at a Flow store today and keep your number available while stocks last.
The United Apostolic Fast and Prayer Fellowship calls on the women of Jamaica, yes, the women of Jamaica from all walks of life, to send up cries to Almighty God for deliverance from the evil forces at work in our nation. We need divine intervention now. So let us pray, let us cry out in our churches, in the street, at the plazas, in the marketplaces, anywhere and everywhere. Our God will answer and He will deliver us.
It's time for Father's Day, and Bashka wants to help you celebrate the dads in your life. We have great gift ideas to fit any budget. Charcoal grills for the grill master in your family. Picture frames to capture his fondest memories. Coffee mugs and beverage glasses for those warm and fun moments. And of course, smart TVs and sound systems for the perfect man cave setup. There's even more in store, so come see what we have for your dad.
At Bashko, at Bashko, at Bashko, giving you more.
Rio Grande to the South Coast, hotel workers and man wear off boat. This a for the craft vendors, red cap porters and transportation at airport. Jamaica tourism pension plan, building towards the future for tourism workers across the island. Retirement benefits to contributions. Every worker in the industry, permanent self-employed contract. For your service you deserve security. Yes you do. Tourism workers pension plan, build a bright future. Yes you can. Tourism workers pension plan, workers invest through contribution. All tourism workers, age 80 to 59. Tourism workers pension plan.
Start making your contributions for a brighter future.
For further information, visit mot.gov.jm or call 876-920-4926 to 30.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the main watch. The topic is understanding one's rights under Jamaica's Charter of Rights and Fundamental Freedom. We have as our guests in this first watch, Basil Hanson, Christian activist and founder of MTN TV, and Bert Samuels, attorney at law. Now, both of you gentlemen had indicated, well, Mr. Samuels, you were outlining for us in a nutshell, we could say, what is this charter and what it outlines very briefly. And Mr. Hanson, you indicated your gratitude for the Constitution itself, and you made mention of the situation in another Caribbean country. Now, another question here. We know that there is a lot of information regarding our rights as citizens, but why do you think a lot of Jamaicans seem to be not familiar with these rights? Mr. Samuels, any thoughts on that? And it's not really a legal question as such, but you may have a comment on that.
I think there are different views on our rights. Firstly, there are some people who feel that although the rights are written in the Constitution, they can't enjoy them. They really don't enjoy them. So you could check a ghetto youth, for example, who could tell you that he was detained by the police for 2-3 weeks and released and not charged. And when you say to him, no, the Constitution says you must be brought to court in the earliest possible time, and the Bail Act says within 24 hours. So what is happening is that there is a disconnect between what is written in the Constitution and the experience of the people, the oppression of the people. For example, the Constitution says that if you take away my liberty and put me in jail or in prison, I must be kept in inhumane conditions. If you happen to know what jails look like, and I know, Mr. Marshall, you know what the jails look like, what they smell like, and how crowded they are. By no means the Constitution is being followed by the state in relation to this. Persons feel that you should have a trial, speedy trial. and persons have been kept in custody for 7, 8, 9 years, and they have not been able to have a trial, both civil and criminal. We had a case where we got constitutional damages in a civil matter because a judge retired and didn't write the judgment. So the public needs to know that when you must have your rights, you must have your trial within a reasonable time. So yes, I'm saying that, you know, public education on the Constitution is important. The Constitution can be taught in, you know, fundamentally in 2-3 hours to school children. How is there anyone coming to talk to them? Is there part of the civics? Is there a subject called civics where we are taught our rights? The answer to that is no, because I don't think we like the Constitution. The state doesn't like it because it becomes a shackle for them. What they'd like to do is to go into Parliament, pass the NIDS law to take our blood samples and have our personal data, and then it's now bombarded. The other day we heard that the electoral list has been caught and someone has taken it and been using it for commercial purposes. So we have to continue to fight for these rights. And the public should know that no matter what you hear them saying in Parliament or what laws they wish to pass, if it collides with the Constitution, the court will turn it down. And the Bail Act has been amended by Parliament and has been struck down as unconstitutional. The NIDS legislation was struck down as unconstitutional. So when we have the interplay between the Constitution and the judiciary who interprets the Constitution, that's what makes us live in a democracy where we cannot be trampled on, and there is the Constitution which is supreme. Parliament is not supreme. It is the Constitution which is supreme. That's my take.
Very interesting. Mr. Summers, I don't know if I had missed a detail there, but in relation to NIDS, I'm not aware. I'm not saying it's not true, but I'm not aware if the blood samples are something that can be taken. I don't know if you just said that in relation to a previous version of the NIDS. I'm not sure.
Well,
you want to comment on that?
I really mean that there was legislation to take away body fluids from persons who are suspected of crime. I think you know that law, but they wanted to take our personal data, bio data.
But not in the current act. Not in the current act.
No, I'm talking about the one that was struck down.
Oh, I see.
That it was against the right to privacy. I should not be forced to give up my biometric information to the state.
In the form in the previous legislation.
Right to privacy was supreme and held to be offended by any attempt by the state to invade our privacy.
I want to bring back in Mr. Hanson in a moment, but quickly, Mr. Samuels, before I do that, what can a citizen do if they believe that their rights have been breached in relation to the Constitution, the Charter?
Maybe some listeners are too young not to know the Ghana Barrett matter, where a young man who was a tiler by trade going to work, detained by the police at Constant Spring police station. He suffocated because there was an overcrowded cell. He ended up being disoriented. He drank his own urine. And when he died, his mother was able to get damages for his right to life. So the citizens should know that once the police have trampled on your rights, or the state has trampled on your rights, you can sue the state, the Attorney General, for breach of your constitutional rights and get damages, get money.
And my understanding of the current charter is that you can also sue another citizen directly, yes?
The horizontal rights and in corporate bodies, yes, you can.
Interesting. Mr. Hanson, any comments? Because you did indicate your gratitude for the charter, and well, let me quickly take a look here. Mr. Samuels, I'll bring you in on this one as well. There has been much talk about the savings clause of the current charter. It saves a number of our laws that predated the charter. For example, it saves our laws on sexual offenses, obscene publications, and offenses regarding the life of the unborn. And you made mention as well, Mr. Samuels, because just below that provision, it also says that it defines public educational institution, meaning all age school, pre-primary school, or a primary school maintained or assisted by the government. In a nutshell, children in Jamaica of school age are entitled under the charter to publicly funded education, certainly in the primary school level. It says here pre-primary and primary school level. It doesn't seem to go beyond that. However, any comments about the savings clause as well as the matter of being entitled to public education, free public education, Mr. Hanson or Mr.
Okay. Stokeley, listen, there are two very contentious issues right now that we're dealing with in Jamaica for years: the abortion rights and the public law. Those two issues are very, very contentious in the nation. You know, the women, there are those who are fighting to have abortion legalized in Jamaica for years.
Yeah.
And it has not happened. And there are those who are fighting, to have the buggery law removed. Those two has not happened. And the reason, Stokeley, is that those two laws are saved under the savings clause. And if what happened in Trinidad recently with the savings clause and the case with the hanging, then our court cannot remove the abortion laws and the buggery law. They will have to go to the Privy Council if our local court, agree with those activists that are trying to remove them. So, but there's a precedent. So we now know that the precedent is that these laws have to go back to Parliament, and I like to see the Parliament and the people will have to decide if they want these laws to remain or they want them to go. So but they are very contentious, and I am saying there are some laws that we will not agree with as it relates to the Constitution, but I'm happy for the Constitution, because if we did not have a Constitution, can you imagine what kind of country we would have? Every man do what is right in his own eyes. You cannot run a country like that. So I believe those two contentious issues, they will not be resolved through the court. They're going to have to be resolved with the Parliament and the people, Stokeley.
I see. Mr. Samuels, any comments?
Yeah, I have a differing view about the savings law clause. My understanding is that the old Chapter 3, Section 26, subsection 8, had the savings law clause. But the Charter of Rights repealed Chapter 3 in its entirety and did not put any provision similar to the old 26.8. So my view is that unlike Trinidad, we do not have a savings law clause anymore, which the public should know. The savings law clause basically said the laws that are already on the books, if they are inconsistent with the Constitution, then those old laws will prevail. My view is that the savings law clause, having Chapter 3 having been repealed in its entirety, and there is no repeat of that particular provision, the savings law clause, it would not come into play as it did in Trinidad. That's my humble view.
I see. So you are, even though this is framed as a savings law clause, your position is that it is not.
Pardon?
Mr. Samuels? Even though the current charter has this provision framed as a savings law clause, your view is that it is in fact not a savings law clause.
No, I do not think that we have a situation where we say
what about the matter?
Law will prevail over the Constitution. 26.8 is gone. I'm not seeing any provision that's similar to it in the Charter. I
see. And what of the matter of publicly funded education up to the primary level? Should it go beyond that?
No, that's very interesting to me because, I am a reparations person. And my view is that part of the reparation that we are seeking is that Britain and who formerly enslaved us should cause us to be able to get free education up to the tertiary level. It is only because we are such a poor country why the Constitution had to stop at the primary level. But it is my view that a lot of bright, poor people are around the place. I mean, I could not have become an attorney if I did not get publicly funded education. And that was during
hold that thought, Mr. Samuels, because that will have to be another conversation.
Yes.
I see where we are already at the end of the segment. Very interesting note upon which to end. Listeners, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
And guests, thank you for being with us, Mr. Hansen and Mr. Samuels.
Yeah,
Stay with us, listeners. We'll be right back shortly on the Morning Watch.
A JN Bank personal unsecured loan can help you tackle your goals with monthly payments as low as $19,999 per million. Conditions apply. The time by JN Bank is.
It is now 7:31 right here on Love 101 FM, the family station. Do hope you are doing well. If you've just joined us, welcome. Stay tuned. We'll be right back inside the Morning Watch. This is Love 101.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
Prepare for the future with over $3 million in cash and prizes with Tang. From May 9th to July 30th, chance to win monthly prizes of laptops, tablets, smart savings accounts, school supplies voucher. Grand draw on August 17th. First place $1 million. Second place $500,000. Third place $250,000. Buy any 6-pack of Tang for a chance to win. Upload receipts at tangpromotion.com. Drop in supermarkets or mail P.O. Box 2010 CSO.
I'm ready to say I don't know all this shot and tally. I have a message to everyone. Get vaccinated. Hey, tourism the main driver of the local economy. It provides us with job, feed the country. So everybody in the industry, get the job and come follow me. It don't hurt to the nerd. Link the nurse cause the vaccine work. Get vaccinated. Yeah. This is a message from the Ministry of Tourism. Get vaccinated. Just get vaccinated. You're deaf?
Get $100 cash from Alliance for your birthday bash when you collect a MoneyGram money transfer on your birthday this June. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans are saying and doing. And we have here, we are turning to the Gleaner. Men accused of Manchester robbery caught in Santa Cruz. And we turn quickly to the Jamaica Observer, and we have another reference here in relation to crime. Well, that story appears to have what is that word we use in cyberspace? I will look at another story here. It seems to have shifted or moved away. We have another story here, trying to toggle this page. Well, Jamaica care payment stymies inflation. Okay, interesting. Jamaica care payment stymies inflation. Those and many other stories in both major daily newspapers today. Of course, coming up, we will have, our feedback for our social media question, which is, what is the greatest thing you would do for an elderly person today? What is the greatest thing you would do for an elderly person today? Leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp to 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
Calling all poets, whether or not you know it. Write a note to your dad. Celebrate the big boss man. Put pen to paper and let's big up the fathers of the nation. Yes, folks, write a short, sweet, and spicy poem that's to the point but filled with heart, saying just how much you love and appreciate your dad. No less than 4 lines, no more than 8 lines. Then listen on Friday, June 17 during a live with Sarah Ann and Colin and share it. When you hear a rhyme in time for this dad of mine. CMWA, so we're celebrating dads in a big way, and we have prizes for the best rhyme in time. It's all happening here on the family station, Love 101. Start writing now, start writing going about your daddy. Yes, man, start it now. More than a father.
Yeah, happy Father's Day.
We want to hear your best. My daddy means so much to me because story. Get your story of your hero dad, your father who stood with you through the tough times, your father who was present in your life as a child. Let us celebrate the fathers who played their role, who understood and still understand the importance of being a father. This Sunday during Sunday Showcase with Sarah Ann, call in and share your My Daddy stories and let us continue the narrative. There are great fathers out there. It's all happening on the family station, Love 101.
Father's Day come again. Run tell your pitney and your friends. Big up to all the daddy
What a heat! What a whole heap of sun! At the best time to explore. Come make we have some fun. You heard right. Summer is knocking on our doors. And you can be sure that Love 101, the family station, will be taking the fun to a town near you. And we're off! St. Elizabeth! St. Elizabeth! Love 101 is coming your way for the first stop in this year's I Love Summer. It's time to explore door. Yes, we're kickstarting the fun in the town of Santa Cruz at Camric Hardware. Come join us Saturday, June 18 from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. for live performances, games, giveaways, prizes, and surprises. Come chat and interact with some of our very own Love 101 announcers. I Love Summer. It's time to explore door. First stop, Saturday, June 18, 2 to 5 p.m. in the town of Santa Cruz at Camric Hardware on Santa Plaza. It's gonna be good. St. Elizabeth, here we come.
Love 101's I Love Summer Tour, the Jamaica 60 edition.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are now in the second watch. Now, did you know that yesterday was World Elder Abuse Awareness Day? Yes, it was observed under the theme Digital Equity for All Ages. Digital Equity for All Ages. Now, elder abuse is rarely addressed or even investigated, and it affects health and human rights. It can even cause death. Now, the day, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, aims to raise awareness about the plight of elderly people who are abused and harmed. To discuss these and other related issues, we have joining us this morning Professor Denise Eldemeyer Shearer, Professor of Public Health and Aging. We also have Dr. Julian McCoy Davis, social gerontologist and a lecturer at the University of the West Indies, Mona. Good morning, Professor Eldemeyer Shearer and
Good morning.
Dr. McCoy Davis.
Good morning. Thanks
Good
for having
morning. Now, Professor Eldemeyer Shearer, forgive me as well. I ought to have mentioned that you're also of the University of the West Indies, Mona. Now, before I even start this conversation, my attention is being drawn to one comment which apparently might have just come in on one of our social media platforms. It reads as follows: I would pray for them. I assume this person means the elderly. I would pray for them and provide any immediate financial need they have as long as I can afford it. I gather that comment came in on WhatsApp. So World Elder Abuse Day was observed under the theme Digital Equity for All Ages. Why was this theme chosen? And starting with you, Dr. Eldemar Shera, can you break down the meaning of this theme?
I'm going to defer that one to Dr. McCoy Davis. She's on the National Council and would have better information on the theme.
Dr. McCoy Davis has been handed to you.
All right. So actually, the theme is it's combating elder abuse. Digital equity was in fact one of the aspects that had been looked at in recognition of the International Day of Older Persons in October. But just looking at the whole element of digital equity, that is still relevant based on our current situation. So what we're talking about in digital equity is to what extent older adults have access to technology and that they're able to use it at an equitable level in comparison to the rest of the population.
And I'm going to quickly ask you here, Dr. McCoy Davis, how do, in terms of making sure that they are not abused, to make sure elders are not abused in the digital world, any comments on that? Because there can be so much abuse there. Any comments?
Definitely. So it's very important. We have seen, especially during the pandemic, that a lot has changed and we have gone in terms of technology adoption. We have we have had to go digital for a lot of things in terms of our social activities, in terms of our business or commerce, the way we conduct our everyday life has really gone really into the digital world. So even for an older adult, for example, to communicate with family members who are not around, they have to do so often in the virtual space, either by WhatsApp, FaceTime, or whatever other means. But we also look at digital equity from the financial perspective, in that for many older persons who are dependent on their pensions, these are now going to the bank because, as you know, our government would have stopped issuing pension checks through post office, etc. And so now older persons, traditionally they would have just gone to the bank, it's in their bank account, they go to a bank teller and access that cash. But a lot has changed during the pandemic with a lot of our banks going cashless. So what is required of the older adults is now to access this cash via the ATM. And many of our older adults do not know how to do so. So sometimes, for example,
they may know how to do so. And I'm speaking, having observed something recently, where there was an older adult. Clearly, this person knew what to do, but they were just moving a little bit slowly.
Right.
And it was creating a bit of a concern for persons looking on, does this person need assistance?
Right.
Yeah.
And so maybe, in a situation like that, somebody may offer to help because for them, this older person is delaying them. Or the older person themselves may request assistance from someone else because they don't know what to do in the ATM. This is something that we really have to be careful of because not every person who offers assistance can be trusted.
Exactly.
And sometimes we're just talking about strangers, we're actually talking about family members who sometimes exploit an older adult because they're very conscious of the fact that the older person isn't aware of what is happening, may not necessarily be regularly checking their bank statement because they're no longer going to the bank to get, their bank book dated, for example. So to be able to check the bank statement electronically, some of our older persons are not aware as yet in terms of.
Can you hold your further thoughts, Dr. McCoy Davis, only because of time. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
50 and over, get the best health plan as well as fabulous discounts. Visit ccrponline.org today or call 469-1944 and live life to the fullest. The time by CCRP is...
It is now 7:45 right here on the Family Station Love 101. Stay tuned. We'll be right back inside the Morning Watch. Stay tuned.
We try to send our children to school with a healthy lunch, right? If we knew what was in some of those foods that are high in sugar, saturated fats, and sodium, would we still give it to them? An unhealthy diet as a child can lead to obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even cancer as they get older. Octagonal warning labels on the front of food packages are 9 times more effective at identifying unhealthy foods. Give us octagonal warning labels on packaged foods. Protect our children's health. A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica and partners.
Get $100 cash from Alliance for your birthday bash when you collect a MoneyGram money transfer on your birthday this June. Conditions apply.
Scotia Elevate is a new life insurance plan from Scotia Insurance for the big thinkers and go-getters. Stay protected with up to $12 million in life coverage and up to $6 million in accidental death and dismemberment. Plus, enjoy customized investments to help build your net worth. Learn more at jm.scotiabank.com.
Keep fully connected with Flow Fiber Fast Internet at home and on the road with LTE data and calls for a fast, reliable experience anywhere. Over 500 communities have been upgraded since 2020, making more of Jamaica Flow Fiber Fast. And with Yard and Road, get Flow Fiber Faster Yard and LTE Road for as low as $3,999 plus GCT. Visit discoverflow.co to get connected on Jamaica's largest network. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch, and we are speaking to Professor Denise Eldemire-Shero, Professor of Public Health and Aging, and she's of the University of the West Indies. And we also have Dr. Julian McCoy Davis, social gerontologist and lecturer at the University of the West Indies. Now, the topic of today, very important topic. Many listeners may not have been aware that yesterday was World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. So our topic here is Abuse of the Elderly, International World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And we have had quite a bit of an opening in terms of the significance of the theme for this year's World Elder Abuse Awareness Day in terms of digital equity for the elderly. Now, Professor Eldemire-Shero, moving away a little bit from the theme, but looking more broadly at the abuse of the elderly, would you like to outline for us what are some of the other forms of abuse that elders experience? We heard from Dr. McCoy Davis in terms of possible abuse in the digital space, but generally speaking, Dr. Eldemire-Shero, what are the other forms of abuse that our elders often suffer and often suffer in silence?
Thank you very much. Let us be clear up front, we actually don't have statistics because it's a bit, I was reminiscing the other day, it's a bit where we were with child abuse 30 years ago, where it was a topic we didn't speak about. So many elders are afraid themselves to tell anybody, because if it is within the family unit, and the family unit here to include the caregiver, they are afraid that if they say anything or they report anything, that the person looking after them will stop or will be taken away. And the only recourse we have at the moment for elder abuse is through the normal legal system with police, etc. And older people do not want to bring a charge against a family member or a caregiver. So it's a real stumbling block. We need an elder abuse system similar to what they have internationally, where it's a special unit. Some may even say an ombudsman to to investigate the cases.
Yes, yes.
But we have
the WHO has come up with an estimate. The WHO, World Health Organization, they have come up with an estimate. They're estimating that 1 in 6 persons over the age of 60 suffer from abuse, which, if you were to sort of have an aggregate of the numbers, that might amount to about 141 million people globally. Now, that's still a lot of people.
It would still be good for us to get our own figures, to get local, certainly Jamaican and regional figures.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Types of abuse.
Yes, yes.
So you have physical abuse, where they are beaten, they are hit. Again, one has to be very careful there to assume, because we have a lot of frail older people, especially over 80. And as you are getting frailer, you can bruise a lot more easily than when you're 20 or 30. So one needs to be very careful about interpreting bruises. An older person could be falling down and somebody grabs them to stop them from falling and leave a handprint. So we need to be careful not to assume that all bruising is in fact elder abuse. Perhaps even more important, because it's so hard to identify, is the emotional abuse, where they are not loved, they are not, everybody needs to be loved, everybody's Maslow's hierarchy of needs doesn't disappear. So you need care, you need love, you need reaffirmation, etc. And that's an area that's hard. So there are many older people that are left to caregivers. Money is sent for them, doesn't always get to them. And whereas their basic needs might be met in terms of food and water and a roof over their heads, the element of love is missing, and we need it. There is social abuse, and it's interesting, when Dr. McCoy Davis was speaking, we don't realize that the digital technology actually deprives older people of some of their social interactions. All you have to do is go to a post office on pension day and see them meeting and greeting. So there's other impacts of that. The digital transformation world moved a lot of us to telemedicine. I can tell you that older people still want to be seen in person, and they want to be examined. They don't see that you can examine them by video. So we have physical abuse, the financial abuse that has been mentioned. One of the things that we are seeing here, and again, I don't have figures, we know from our last survey of older people, 78% of them own the house they live in. So it is most likely that the family are staying with the older person rather than vice versa. And we are beginning to see cases of transfers of houses because of some level of mental incompetence and the taking away of the house from the older person. We've actually seen a couple of older people put out of the house. So that's that. You have the social, you have the financial, you have the emotional as well. So the gambit of elder abuse is really quite broad.
I have so many questions to ask you, but it's based on the progression of this interview. I find myself just like sort of putting some of them together. Now, we did look at this topic about 2 years ago, Dr. Eldemar Shearer and Professor Eldemar Shearer, as well as Dr. McCoy Davis. I don't know if you both recall. And we did delve into this. We looked at the types of abuse, etc., being suffered. Have you seen any change in the last 2 years or so when we last spoke on the Morning Watch? In other words, I know we don't have specific statistics for Jamaica or the region per se. However, we may have anecdotal information that can provide some level of measure. Any comments in relation to what we discussed about 2 years ago in relation to today, starting with you, Professor Eldemar Shearer?
I do believe that there's more awareness. Both Dr. McCoy Davis and I actually then contributed to an international publication looking at elder abuse around the world. I think people are now more willing to talk about it. But I believe we're at the stage of talk first, and we have not yet got to the action stage. I don't know what Dr. McCoy Davis thinks.
Dr. McCoy Davis, I mean, I'm hoping that somewhere in the Caribbean region there might be statistics, but we certainly don't. Well, they have certainly not been shared widely yet, it would appear. But Dr. McCoy Davis, you know, what is your perspective in terms of any change since 2020 when we last spoke about this on the Morning Watch?
Well, I am definitely in agreement with Professor Elderman Shearer as far as the level of awareness is concerned. However, I think the compounded effect of the pandemic has added another layer to what is happening. And particularly because a lot of this is hidden, we may not be fully aware of the extent to what is happening. But I must interject here to indicate that the National Council for Senior Citizens, that has responsibility for older adults in Jamaica, has been taking note of information. For example, when persons would have been contacting them through Rona, the Rona helplines and other helpline services, that persons, as well as during community visits, persons may have reported incidences of abuse, or persons may have reported suspected cases of what they think is happening in their community. Again, based on what Prof. Elderman Shearer shared earlier, in terms of you cannot always look at something, somebody with bruises, for example, and assume that that is the situation. You know, you will have some of those situations which clearly need to be investigated.
You know, I'm going to quickly raise this one here only because of time, and I do see we are almost at the end of the program. Following on something you said earlier, Professor Elderman Shearer, you did say we probably need a legal regime similar to the one that was made for children. Are you both advocating, therefore, for a Elder Care and Protection Act similar to the Child Care and Protection Act, but of course this one would be specifically tailored to protect seniors? Professor Elderman Shearer, is that something that you
would? Very definitely. It is one of the missions of the Mona Aging and Wellness Center, which is where we both are at UWI, to continue to advocate for that and to push for that. It's very important because dealing with it, as Dr. McCoy said, you have to investigate all the bruises and then come up with a diagnosis. We now have more persons with dementia because they are more persons with over 80. Let me be very clear. It's not that we have more dementia. It's that more persons by virtue of living so much longer. And there's a lot of misunderstanding around dementia by family members. You can be fine today, you can be not fine tomorrow in the early stages. And that leads to emotional stress, etc. So there are differences with elder abuse and with all other abuses. And yes, it does need a dedicated service with the legal framework to support.
Dr. McCoy Davis, any comments before we wrap?
So just to say that there is some amount of discussion as far as the need for the elder abuse legislation is concerned at the National Council for Senior Citizens level. And I know that with our ongoing support from Mona Aging and Wellness Center, as well as other entities, that, you know, we will see some kind of framework coming together in short order.
It sounds like it's absolutely urgent, as if it needs to be done today. Thank you, Professor Elderman Shearer, and thank you.
Just one thing, and I'll be quick. Let me point out that 10 years ago that we all agreed on this at the United Nations, and it included Jamaica. So we are taking long to act.
It should have been done already. Thank you, Professor Elderman Shearer and Dr. McCoy Davis. Thank you, listeners, for being with us and for information on how to get copies of this program. Call our production department. Thank you very much. Call our production department at 876-968-959627. Join us again next week as we look at other topical and controversial issues. And of course, you will be hosted by my colleague, Dr. Dylan Toussaint. Visit the Love 101 FM YouTube channel and Facebook page for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. Listen to the Morning Watch on our Love 101 app and download it today and stay connected to us, the family station, Love 101 FM, the #1 gospel station in Jamaica. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Latifa Reed, filling in for Kathy Gale, and to our guests. I am Stokeley Marsh, and hanging back to Love in the Morning with Shane Douglas.
Thank you, Stokeley. Have a great one. Blessings.
You too, sir.
All right. You're tuned to Love 101 FM, the family station.
NHF beneficiaries enrolled for diabetes can apply online for a glucometer.